The soldiers opened fire at a US military base in Texas, killing 3 people and himself. The gunman was an Iraq veteran and was treated for mental health issues. Officials say this had nothing to do with terrorism, though. Well, let's discuss this with Gordon Duff, editor of the Veterans Today newspaper. Thank you very much for coming onto the programme this morning. Now, firstly, this is not the first shooting at Fort Hood. Back in 2009, 13 people were killed then. Do you think this is a tragic coincidence, or do you think lessons should have been learnt from that?
Well, there certainly were lessons. The last shooting was a psychiatrist at the base who'd been treating soldiers who'd returned from Iraq. This time it's a soldier that's returned from Iraq. Nearly 35% of the soldiers that are serving actively in the U.S. military are on antipsychotic medication. Those that are leaving the military, and as the wars are winding down, we're down to 30,000 troops in Afghanistan now. The military is downsizing, and these soldiers are all either looking forward to years of unemployment or are trying to position themselves as disabled veterans or in military retirement. And doing that has put them in an adversarial position with the military, has caused a tremendous amount of dissension, stress, suicides, and murder-suicide, as we're seeing now. This is only a guess. We have more to learn.
And do you think the government is doing enough to address the possible psychological problems that soldiers are facing?
Well, the government a few years ago opened a suicide hotline after over 20,000 veterans had killed themselves. As far as the military medical establishment, they're still pumping out dangerous medications whose side effects, frankly, are known to be psychotic episodes, suicide. These medications are handed out piecemeal with very little accountability. And the military has still, despite the efforts to take care of veterans and those recently released, the military is still very much at war within itself and certainly resents. The military is showing signs of remorse for these recent wars, not remorse for what they've done, but remorse for having taken in so many people to fight these wars that they no longer need.
And with regard to security at US facilities too, do you think that there's too much easy access to weapons there, considering what you've just said? Many people are returning from Iraq suffering psychological problems, and many people who haven't actually returned from Iraq are suffering stress anyway.
Well, I'm retired military. I shop on a military base. It's not atypical for shoppers to pretty much largely be armed in the store. Military bases in themselves are dangerous. Sexual assaults on military bases are rampant. The military brought in, we'll say accidentally over the last few years, criminal organizations established themselves within the military. A military base is as dangerous an environment as some of America's worst cities.
OK, well, look, thank you very much, Mr Duff, for coming onto the programme this morning. That was Gordon Duff, editor of the Veterans Today newspaper.